here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We're a new generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Monday, December 9th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're watching News Generation. Today, we're joined by Lee Won-bin.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Julian Kim.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Now, both here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So today we're going to talk about we're going to focus on the connection between the Korean wave and immigration, which is quite an interesting topic. Now, we brought up this topic, Won-bin, today because recent statistics have shown a sharp increase in the number of immigrants to Korea. So can you kind of help us break down these numbers?
Yeah, of course. So if you take a look in the data, the statistics show a notable rise in immigration to Korea. In 2023, the number of immigrants reached 87,100, a significant increase from 57,800 in 2022. This represents nearly a 50% increase in just 1 year, highlighting how quickly Korea is attracting people from around the world. England came in at the highest at 52.9%, followed by Australia, Spain, Canada, and Japan. Now, what's particularly interesting is that this trend aligns closely with the global appeal of Korean culture. So people aren't just consuming K-pop or K-dramas anymore. They're choosing to live here, drawn by Korea's mix of tradition and modernity.
Right. So we are definitely seeing a big increase in the number of people who are moving to Korea to start a new life. And Korea is indeed on the path to becoming what many people call a multicultural society, which is quite a big change. So Julian, can you tell us more about what a multicultural society is and how Korea is shifting to this new society?
Yeah, so according to the Ministry of Justice December 2023 Statistical Monthly Report, the number of foreign residents last year was approximately 2.5 million, accounting for about 4.8% of Korea's total population. Now, the OECD considers countries with immigrant populations exceeding 5% of the total population to be a multicultural nation, which puts Korea close to that threshold.
Right. So then let's now talk about the reasons. I think Won-bin kind of mentioned this in his earlier answer, but what are the major reasons driving the rise to immigration in Korea? And I think I kind of know the answer because you mentioned the growing appeal of K-culture.
That's right. The Korean wave is undoubtedly one of the most biggest reasons. As Korea's global influence grows through K-pop, K-drama, and even Korean food, more people are seeing the country as an attractive place to live. But besides those hot topics, but it's not only about entertainment. Korea's tech-driven economy, strong job market, and advanced infrastructures make it appealing for professionals and even students to come over and settle in Korea. For many, it's a chance to be part of the culture where they watch through various contents.
Right. So before, it was just a lot of global K-culture fans just merely enjoying this, but now we're seeing them even moving to Korea to settle down here. Now, Julian, and I also want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this growing, what we call a K-wave immigration?
Yeah, so the major reasons driving the rise of immigration is global cultural influence, government policies, and economic opportunities. Now, personally, these are the main factors that motivate my decision to personally move here. But aside from wanting to be closer to family, yes, these are the reasons why I'm currently living in Korea. The Ministry of Justice attributes the rise of immigration to the global Korean wave, also known as Hallyu, which has led to an increase in international students and trainees. The global popularity of K-pop and K-dramas has sparked more interest in Korea, leading to a rise in people coming to the country to live, work, or study. Now, South Korea's increasing global cultural influence is also attracting people who want to learn more about its culture. But it's not just the cultural aspect that draws people in. There are also significant educational and economic opportunities. Korea's media, technology, education, and business sectors are attracting people from all across the world.
Right, so it's not just culture, it's also tech and economic opportunities and etc. And I've also heard that when talking about immigrating to Korea, reverse migration from the United States is becoming more common among Korean Americans in the States. And for those who are unfamiliar with this term, reverse migrants refer to Koreans who emigrated to the US decades ago, returning to Korea, or their children who are now making their way back to Korea. So I want to ask you, Won-bin, could you explain more what reverse immigration is and why more people are hopping onto this trend?
Yeah, of course. Like Eugene just explained, reverse immigration refers refers to Korean immigrants or their descendants returning to Korea after living abroad for a long time, often in places like US and Canada. This trend is gaining momentum for several reasons. One is definitely career opportunities.
Right.
Korea's economy is thriving, and industries like tech and entertainment are global leaders. Another reason, I think, is that the desire to reconnect with Korean heritage. And I feel like Julian would have a lot of things to say about this.
Okay, then now let's ask Julian, as someone who grew up in the US and you've talked about on the show that you're an American citizen. I want to ask you, does your reason to moving to Korea match with what we've just heard related to reverse migration?
Yeah, so honestly, since I was a college student, I've been toying with the idea of moving to Korea. Now, I have many personal reasons for deciding to move to Korea, and some of them, such as career and family, align with what we have already mentioned. However, my main motivation, like what Wonbin said, was to reconnect to my Korean side. Now, many people from immigrant families might empathize with this, but growing up in a country different from your own cultural roots often create a sense of disconnect. But Asian Americans in particular are frequently expected by their families to integrate into American society. That means like speaking fluent English, attending college, and building a career here in the US too. While I'm deeply grateful for the privileges and opportunities of growing up in the US, I've always struggled with feeling not Korean enough. So America is my home. It's where I spent my entire life, and I'm proud to call myself an American. But I'm also very, very proud of my Korean heritage. But yet, despite speaking Korean, I often feel out of touch with like Korean history, cultural nuances, and many even like traditions. Like for example, I don't even know how to play that Korean card game, Ghost Stop. Yeah. So I find that this move is my own way of bridging that gap. Living here is something I've always wanted to do in my 20s, to truly invest in understanding my culture and also improve my Korean so I can sound like an MZer living in Korea. Yeah. So I'm both a proud American and Korean, and now it just feels like the right time to really embrace both of those dual identities.
Well, I think that if you spend more time living in Korea, you'll get to know all those Korean history, Korean food, and even learn how to play Korean Ghost Stop, which, by the way, I still don't know how to play. Now, the reason why we're seeing immigration becoming such a big news that's drawing huge attention here in the country is because Korea has been largely a homogeneous society, so immigration is still relatively a new concept for many. While some people welcome this diversity, others are quite hesitant because, once again, this is a new change that we're seeing. So as members of the younger generation, what are your thoughts on the growing number of immigrants to Korea?
Personally, I see it as a great opportunity. Honestly, immigration brings diversity, innovation, and new perspectives, which are actually essential for growth, in my opinion.
Right.
That said, I also recognize the challenges like cultural differences and language barriers, which Julian mentioned earlier. Therefore, I also do believe that there will be hiccups during the early stage when immigrants are entering Korea. But these are things that can be addressed and can be solved with education and open-mindedness. For our generation, I think it's about embracing this change and seeing immigration as a way to enrich our society, not just economically, but culturally as well.
Right, and I think that this is a great opportunity for especially the younger generation to communicate and interact with various cultures, because we're now living in an interconnected society and we are seeing globalization more and more. And what do you think, Julian?
Yeah, so immigration is a really complex and multifaceted subject. Now, younger generation are generally more open to it, but we are also aware of the potential challenges and issues that do come with it. But with that being said, there are positive aspects. Immigrants can stimulate economy, everyone is exposed to more cultures, and it also drives innovation too. But on the other hand, there are negative aspects of immigration too. There's prejudice, language barriers, and many Koreans are prideful of their Korean cultural background and fear that immigration would threaten that. But immigration has currently been a very hot topic, not only because of the rising numbers of immigrants, but also the low birth rate here in Korea. So many people see it as a potential solution to this crisis, but given its complexity, I believe that it's crucial to consider all perspectives and work towards solutions that benefit both the Korean people and immigrants seeking opportunities here. Now, immigration really isn't a one-size-fits-all issue, and any approach must address concerns that embrace the potential it holds too.
You're definitely right. So far, we've heard from our panelists. Now, expanding our discussion, we also asked your viewers about what they think about immigration. And here's what 3 of them said. Our first comment of the day, Eddie Lee 5909. I recently moved to Japan. It has its pros and cons. I like most things better here, but the language barrier makes a lot of things difficult. Inolu Wabora 14. I think moving abroad is a courageous act and a way to expand yourself beyond the horizon. I would like to move abroad because I want somewhere different from home and to explore new cultures. Hamayu 2007. I have never lived abroad, but for education and opportunity, it's a great idea. So we've taken a look at our viewers' comments. For a more deeper discussion, we're going to welcome a millennial from Brunei living in Korea. So stay tuned for our live interview after this break.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us this morning is Rasida Idris, a millennial from Brunei living in Korea. Welcome, Rasida, to the show.
Hi, thank
Hi.
you so much.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining our show. So, Rasida, I want to ask you, how long have you been living in Korea and what motivated you to choose the country?
Okay, so I've been in Korea in accumulation for 5 years now. And what motivates me to come here is that I like learning languages and new culture. So I feel like instead of going to like English speaking country, I feel like building up another language skill is much more important to me. So that's why I came here. Yeah, so that what motivates me the most. And then after that, I guess culture study. And then the third one would be KoreanWave, Hallyu. Yeah, that's pretty
Hallyu.
much it. Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
right. Now, Rasida, after living here for some time, what do you see as the main pros and cons of life in Korea?
Okay, first of all, I can learn the language, which is, different from English. Because I grew up with learning English and Malay, and then Korean is definitely different. And yeah, I get to learn new skill. And apart from that, I guess like in Korea, I feel like it's a country where I can be independent. Transportation is easy. Like I don't have to drive a car, and I can live alone. Because they have like a room just for one person. So I guess like that suits me a lot. And yeah, everything is just convenient in here, I think. Like apart from the price getting expensive these days, but the rest are just perfect for me. It's easy to navigate around. Yeah, that's the pros for me.
Yeah, so do you have any
Yeah.
advice or tips for those planning to move to Korea?
I guess like for those who plan to come here, it's really important to know at least like a bit of Korean instead of coming here blindly without knowing anything about the language. And also it's important to learn about the country a little bit, like what to expect. And, sometimes people come here without knowing how it's like here actually. Like they would see like people only see Korea as Hallyu country, but then they forget that there are different culture here too, like different aspect of Korea apart from Hallyu. So I guess it's important to learn more about that than just Hallyu. Yeah.
Then, Rasida, I want to ask you, you mentioned how Korea has other sides of culture besides the Korean wave or the K culture, for example, K-pop, K-movies, and K-dramas that many people know of. Then could you tell us more about what new side of Korean culture that you found to be interesting after moving to Korea and living here for 5 years?
I guess like how people eat their food, like the food, like table etiquette, and also how people talk and formality is really important here, and how like different levels of hierarchy is so important here. I mean, as foreigner, like people don't really, even if we speak Banmar, okay, people sometimes can accept that, but sometimes like in some occasions, like especially for me, like I've been here for 5 years, some people cannot tolerate that anymore. So yeah, I guess it's also important to know about that too. And apart from that, I guess, I guess that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, I
I
can't
see.
think more, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then can I just ask you one more? So you mentioned about
Yeah.
the influence of Korean wave and K culture that kind of motivated you to come to Korea. So as we're talking about how Korean wave has led to the increase of immigrants here in the country today in our show, could you tell us what kind of impact K culture had on your decision to move to Korea?
For me, like in terms of, before K-pop, I learned Korean first. So my real interest to come to Korea is actually Korean language, not K-pop, because I wasn't into K-pop until I moved here. So it's because like I kind of get used to the Korean K-pop songs now. So I kind of like getting sucked into it. Yeah. So before that, I kind of feel like I don't really like K-pop, but after living here, then yeah, I slowly like warm up to it, and I kind of like it. Yeah. So and I feel like especially after BTS, I think it's much more people are more interested into Korea now. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, Rosita, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right, so ending off, as globalization continues and with the growing global appeal of Korean culture, as Rosita mentioned, Korea will highly likely welcome even more people from abroad moving ahead. So you both have experience living in countries outside of Korea for several years. I want to ask you, how do you think we can create an environment where everyone feels included and ensure a smooth transition to a multicultural society?
So I believe, again, it starts with education and mutual understanding. For those moving to Korea, learning basic Korean and cultures can make a huge difference in how they integrate with the society. On the other hand, Koreans can benefit from being open to different perspectives and experiences and I believe that this is very important because other countries who have opened the doors for immigrants, they've often had a lot of collisions or conflicts with the locals and the immigrants meeting in town. And it's not because it was someone's fault, it's just that the differences in culture and background had a lot of conflict. So programs like cultural exchange events or language classes seems essential.
Right.
And at the heart of it, it's about creating a space where everyone, local and immigrants, feel valued and respected. Again, mutual respect. As Korea becomes more multicultural, this balance will be the key for building an inclusive society.
Right, definitely more education and fostering mutual understanding between both cultures is important. Now, if you have plans to move to Korea and you want to study the Korean language, one good option for you is to kind of find the King Sejong Institute, which is an overseas Korean teaching institution that not only teaches Korean but also Korean cultural studies as well. So you can maybe search for the nearest King Sejong Foundation if you have plans to move to Korea. That's my tip. Now, what about you, Julian?
Yeah, so going off about what you just said, both parties have to play an active role in creating the inclusive society. So to those interested in living in Korea, I highly recommend to learn the basics of Korean, put some effort towards the language and learning more about the culture. And to those living in Korea, I would say be more open-minded and understand how people from different backgrounds can connect. There are many resources available for both the newcomers and locals to learn more about multiculturalism, including language classes, cultural exchange programs, and community groups.
Right, and if I could give another tip for Koreans who are ready to embrace all the people who are coming from abroad, one good thing that you could try out is kind of look for the cultural centers of each country that are mostly run by the embassies here. So then I think we could be able to foster an environment where we could see mutual respect and mutual cultural exchange so that we could head into a multicultural society. And that's all from us today, but Newsden will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks today to Iwon Bin.
Thank you always.
Thank you. And Julian Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are
New
Generation.
Generation.